There you go. All right. So before we get started, say your name and what business you want to be represented with, so we have it recorded.
Okay. Eric George, Home Comfort Advisor.
Okay. Eric George, Home Comfort Advisor. All right.
Advisors, whatever.
Advisors.
Yeah, advisors is it's plural like on all the socials and YouTube, and then advisor is just really for the course that I created. So
Okay. So, you probably know this, but I say this at the beginning of everything. It's all recorded. So if you make a mistake, you say something you don't want in it, you cough, you shit, you puke, whatever on film, it doesn't matter. We can take it out. So if
yeah,
there's anything you want out, just let us know. If there's something like hey, I didn't mean to say that, just say that exact thing. Say, hey, I didn't mean to say that, and they'll take it out in editing. It won't make it into the final clip. So
all right, cool.
we're golden. So all right,
Yeah,
let me kick it off. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the HVAC ADHD Vodcast. Today we have Eric George from Comfort Advisors.
Home
Is that
Comfort
right? Comfort
Advisors.
Advisors?
Home Comfort Advisors.
Home Comfort Advisors. Home Comfort Advisors. I've known Eric for a really long time now. We probably officially met through Dave Richardson from National Comfort Institute somehow, some way. I've ran into Eric in National Comfort Institute trainings and retrainings and recertifications, that sort of thing. He's had a similar career path and diverged into real estate investment. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about where you came from and where you're at now.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. I think probably one of the first times I met you was actually at a Midwest Residential
That's
Energy
right.
Conference in Lexington. So ResNet stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I started off in doing insulation and weatherization stuff back in my early 20s. My parents had a small insulation company, and I didn't really want to do it, frankly, but I got into that position because my parents needed help, and it was an opportunity to learn about construction, and they also had a insurance restoration business that did mold, water, fire damage, and all that kind of stuff. So I actually got trained originally through the Paul Davis Restoration franchise to be a
Uh-huh.
water damage restoration technician. So got to learn about how buildings fail and how they dry out, and then ended up running the insulation and weatherization company for about 3.5 years before we sold it. And then I moved down to Louisville and started Building Performance Group. And I think that was shortly after that is when we linked up in 2010, 2011, something like that.
Yep.
And so original focus was to do energy audits because I really, I got pretty good at diagnosing stuff, or at least I thought I did back when I had the insulation company, diagnosing issues in houses. And had went through a bunch of training with low-income weatherization assistance programs in Indiana. Inca was the program up in Indianapolis, the organization up there that trained me. And so I wanted to really do energy audits. And so I came down here and realized that not a big market for energy audits, but that was when Energy Star Homes kind of kicked off. And LG&E at the time, KU was offering all the rebates for energy raters to get started. So it was kind of perfect time, perfect place. Started doing energy ratings, did that for a long time. And kind of honestly just got burnt out on it and kind of pivoted several years ago and started doing more real estate investing stuff, flipping houses, wholesaling, rental properties. And now I pretty much just I've sold off all my residential properties with the exception of 4. And I manage, oversee management of like 5 self-storage facilities now and have some partnerships in other ones. So just
Is that how did you start in flipping houses with the real estate stuff, or did you start on the storage space side?
started off with flipping houses, and I got started in that in 2008. So right when the crash happened and banks were giving away houses, it was a good time to buy. You know, there wasn't that many buyers as there is now, so everybody was scared
Right.
shitless and didn't want to buy anything because they thought it was just going to keep dropping. But I was more of a buy and hold investor, honestly. I rehabbed a bunch of houses, but most of the rehabs I did, I kept because it was like I cashed out my 401k to start building performance and kind of went all in on that. I was like, all right, well, I know construction, I know real estate to a certain extent, so I spent a bunch of time, learning about how to invest in real estate and kind of made that my retirement plan more or less. And the goal was to like pay off, get to like 10 or 20 houses, pay them off, and that's the cash flow stream that you got, and it paid off pretty well, honestly. But the rental properties that I had were mostly college rental properties, and I don't know if you went to college, but when I went to college, it was a shit show with student rentals and dealing with the property managers and stuff like that. So I had a pretty good system in place, but we just got tired of dealing with kids and their parents. And
Were you charging by the room?
no, it
That's
was
how,
like,
like, the guys up in Clyde dealt with a lot. Like, I'm good friends with one of the biggest property investors up in Clifton, UC area. He's called UC for Rent, and they charge by the room. Dude. It's like however many bedrooms is in there, that's the multiplier for the amount that they charge for rent there.
well, yes. So that's how I determine the rent cost, right? But that's not how the lease is structured.
Right.
Because unless it's a multifamily property, you can't rent individual leases by the bedroom.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's just other landlord laws.
You put them all on the lease, though? Like, anybody
Everybody's
there?
on
Like,
the lease. All the parents are on the lease. So it's a pretty secure.
their uncles or cousins, anybody you can
Yeah,
make
you got to have a
responsible.
co-signer pretty much if you're going to rent with us. So anyway, that we sold off most of our college rentals over between 2019 and 2023, and so we just kind of transitioned into storage. And then when everything kind of slowed down with the interest rates and prices went through the roof, then I just kind of was like, all right, well, I guess
I thought that was really,
when
when I saw you doing that with the self-storage, I thought that was a really cool and smart pivot. Like, that's one of the top, any list you look on, that's one of the top, like, 5 current turnkey businesses that there is out there. With that, parking lots and car washes usually are right up there.
Yeah, it's pretty low maintenance, honestly. I mean, it's not really the topic of this conversation, but you can really automate these things with call centers and software and automated controls and all that kind of stuff now. So it's a business that I like. I really like the asset class, but frankly, it's not something that I'm passionate about. It's not like God's pulling me to keep buying these metal boxes so hoarders can put their stuff in them.
It's not that exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the money's good, and you can do very well in self-storage. So I like the asset class for those reasons, but it's like it's not drawing me into like whatever. So that's really kind of when I decided to pivot back and get back into the building science stuff and home performance.
It's funny you said draw me back in, because like when I saw you start doing content and stuff, I'm like, you think you're out, but they suck me back in.
Yeah.
The old Godfather thing. Like, we're always get sucked back in. So tell us a little bit about that, what you're doing now, the pivot back to this.
Yeah. So I decided last year, it got to a point with building performance where my employees they knew how to run the business, and it didn't require much of my input. And so I was like, it's time for you to take over. So David Clevenger was my right-hand man for over 10 years, 12 years, and so I sold the business to him. And he didn't really want to do energy audits, frankly. He wanted the new construction side of things. It's way more consistent.
Yeah.
And so I had historically always done the audits, and so he's like, hey, man, I'm too busy. Like, can I just keep sending the audits your way? And I was like, all right, I guess so.
So what is he doing? Like ratings and stuff, like
doing energy ratings,
Energy Star and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I should connect you guys too. Have you ever met David?
Nah, I don't think I have.
Okay.
I don't
should
believe
connect
so.
you guys at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, he wanted the new construction stuff, so I was like, all right. And then it's sort of just, once I started doing more of the online education and putting these videos out, I started getting more requests for inspections and calls from HVAC guys, and I'd always kind of had that reputation, at least in the Metro Louisville area in Kentucky and stuff, as somebody to call if there's issues that other people can't figure out.
Yep.
And so I was like, you know what? I feel like God put me in this position where I've got this talent and I've got this history and this experience that a lot of other people don't have, and I feel like I'm squandering it if I don't put it out there and try to help people if I can, right? So it's like, I just kind of took a different I took a different angle with it. Like, just my mindset shifted a little bit around it. Whereas before I didn't really want to do the audits. It was like, this isn't going to make you rich and, blah, 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 or whatever. And I was like, you know what? People really need people like me to help figure out these problems. And if I can help them, then, that's fulfilling to me. Right. So I don't want to spend every day of my life doing this. I'm kind of selective in the jobs that I choose. They're usually more complicated, larger homes, and so I charge accordingly. But, it's more fulfilling to me than some other things that I could be doing right now.
It's fun solving the problem. Like, I mean, I feel the same way about ratings versus audits. Like, ratings are like a mindless thing that I go through and I do. Either you did it or you didn't. I check a box or you got to come back and fix it. Yeah. But like the home performance side of things in people's homes. And I felt the same way. Like when I was doing home performance and that's how I made all my money, I did not enjoy it that much. Like I enjoyed figuring the stuff out. That always challenged my mind. But like from the day in, day out drudgery of that particular thing, I did not enjoy it that much. But now that I'm on a different side of it, sort of like what you're saying, where doing more consulting, more education, that stuff, like getting back out there and figuring those problems out, ends up being a lot funner. I just took one. I was in Cincinnati for, as you said, I live in Knoxville now. Yeah. And, I was 45-year Cincinnati resident. I go back up there every Labor Day to do my fantasy football draft I've been in it 20 years in the same fantasy football league. So, I was up there this past weekend, Labor Day, and then one builder called me like, hey, or an HVAC contractor called me like, hey, man, I know you're in town every weekend on Labor Day. There's this house that these builders are having trouble with. Can you go take a look at it? And so I went back. I was going to go back Monday evening. I went back Tuesday afternoon instead. I stayed in town Tuesday to go look at the dude's house and figure it out. This is the usual suspect stuff. LEED house, super tight, super whatever, LEED certified Energy Star home, but he had so much water in the third floor of the house, or probably like technically the third floor of the house, because these are like 4-story homes straight up and down on the river down in Cincinnati. They call it Riverside Drive. It's like this huge complex of LEED houses they built, but and they all have the same exact problem. So like third floor just soaked, right? And they had the ceiling tore out, the ductwork's freaking rusted and stuff. I put a blower door on there 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, there's your problem. Roof on the outside's got air leaking, right? It's one of those little bump out areas, fake architectural bump out areas with the little roof. And it just didn't get caught during the rating. It never would get caught unless, somebody was climbing way up into some place that they probably too dangerous for them to look. Yeah. And with these tighter houses, as you know, like air has less and less places to leak through. So the places they do leak through, it's worse and worse and worse, dragging humidity. So it's easy fix once you know what it is. But that dude said he's the second owner. He's been there 18 months. He knows there's no way that it could have. He's a commercial construction guy, so he's seen black and thought mold and got somebody in there. He's like, I know this didn't happen in the 18 months I've been living here. That's what he told me. He's like, I ain't even lived here a full summer yet, so there's no way. He's like, it's been going on since this house was built. So that's the type of stuff that we see on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think I referred you to a friend who had a LEED certified house.
I wanted to talk. That's on my list to talk about today because that exposes a whole nother thing about sampling. Tell that story because, dude, that is like that's the best indication of what happens when you use I hate sampling, and like this is really the greatest example of what could happen when you use sampling.
So did you actually talk to her?
Many times. Yeah.
Okay, because I think I have about half of the story, and you may have the other half of the story.
I'll fill in where I can.
She's a good friend from college. She, first original owner of this townhome. I guess it's a 3-story townhome with a rooftop patio thing.
Yeah. So one thing we should context for this story. It's in Cincinnati, Ohio. There's a LEED property tax abatement. So anything that is built to quote unquote LEED standards, whether it's certified, gold, silver, platinum, you get a property tax abatement associated with that. Back then it's changed now. It's less than it used to be. But back when that thing she's living in was built in the prime, like the height of all this. And at that time, if it was a platinum building, you could get, $500,000 up, unlimited years. That's what it was. Unlimited years abated. So you could get up to $500,000 unlimited if you built LEED Platinum. So literally any construction that you see in Cincinnati, like downtown Cincinnati, the revitalization of OTR, like any of that stuff, it's all driven by this LEED tax abatement, like all of it. So everything down there is LEED. So like the reason I'm saying that is that this is where, so this building, like there's two main green programs, green providers in Cincinnati, and one of them was one I subbed work out from, and this just happened to be that one. So like she was part of that program. So go on with your story there.
Yeah. So anyway, she had big temperature differences between rooms on different floors. She ended up having like a big leak between the garage and the first floor.
This is in a LEED Platinum building.
From a condensation drain line, I think that just it got clogged up or something happened, came through the garage ceiling. So she actually called me earlier this year on that in particular. This is before or after you had talked to her. This is another problem.
Like earlier this year?
Earlier this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's way after I talked. I haven't, I have not
It's
been
like 2
involved
years
with that
ago.
situation. Yeah. Before, like I've lived in Knoxville 5 years. I was still in Cincinnati or just moved to Knoxville when all that was going on.
She's had nothing but problems with this townhome,
Yeah.
pretty much. And so she had comfort issues. She had big temperature differences between floors. She had, no air coming out of certain vents. And,
Yep.
You would think if it's LEED that the airflow is getting tested or pressure balance is happening or something. But anyway, the last thing that happened, the leak came through the garage ceiling. They came out, cut out the garage ceiling, and we're like, yep, it's from the drain line. And then they go to patch the drain line, and they're starting to just cover the drywall up. And she's like, wait a minute, like, what about all the insulation up there that's wet? And she calls me, and I'm like, don't let them put the drywall back up yet. So then she tells them to stop, gets a restoration company involved. They come out there, pull out the insulation, dry it out. They find mold,
Damn, I didn't know any of this.
And then they went through the process of drying it out and all this stuff. And there was ductwork that was crushed. There was just a bunch of crap work that had happened in this house. And they look real pretty from the outside. They're very modern looking. They've got these architectural features that are attractive, highly desirable area to live in. But the functionality of these houses. Oh, and then another thing, I went to stay with her actually this summer, or last spring actually. In the middle of her living room, the floor is like this, and it's the wood floor, the LVP or whatever is buckling. And I'm like, is that the floor, or is that like the humidity that's buckling the floor? Like,
Not humidity. It's all these LEED houses have the same problem, dude. They in Cincinnati and the Midwest especially, and Energy Star. I'll put Energy Star in the same bucket because they allow the same shit to go on. They get these houses super tight. And then they put bath fan ventilation in them, dude. And I'm telling you right now, like they are humidity buckets, and they don't have any kind of dehumidification, nothing. And the systems, because of Energy Star's bullshit that they won't do away with. I mean, it's dead. The program's dead now, but I've already gone on our blog and everything about this. Like, their oversizing forgiveness in Energy Star is ridiculous. It's causing 100% of these problems 100% of the time. They let these guys size way beyond what they should under the guise of not being able to get equipment, which is that thing that really was happening when they first wrote that, but it's so long gone and dead that it's just ridiculous. It's one of my biggest soapboxes ever. I freaking hate the way Energy Star deals with that stuff. But the funny thing about that lady's thing is like, so whatever, I forget the original, I think it was just comfort issues when you originally got me involved. You were saying like she was having comfort.
Had a leak through the ceiling too.
When I got involved with it?
Back then, there was a leak through the flat roof.
So that might not have been in my purview. I think I was just trying to figure out the comfort and the system and the LEED stuff for her. And the builder stood on the fact that was a certified building. And I fought with him tooth and nail, and I'm like, yeah, but this was not a tested unit. It's a sampled unit. So there's a good chance that none of this stuff even, got done. He goes, no, it's certified. Like, that's not my problem. Like, we already paid the consultant. It needs to go back through them, needs to go through the HVAC contractor, like every other thing, because the building, they got to be certified, but it was a sampled unit. And,
stamp.
Yeah, it got the stamp. And I mean, it probably wasn't nothing nefarious done. They just didn't have to go in that unit and test it, so nobody freaking paid attention to it, or the issues didn't get exposed,
Yeah.
It's wild.
And that happens all the time, whether it's LEED or Energy Star or even freaking code compliance. I mean, I could talk about this the rest of the time. It's just all the bullshit that gets through in new construction houses, and you'd see it a lot more than I do now, but
I hate it.
It's wild. Like, the whole thing about exhaust fans in new construction as a form of mechanical ventilation in a humid climate. I've posted several videos this year because 95% of the calls that I've gotten this year on inspections have had to do with sweating ducts, humidity problems, or whatever. And in new construction, that is the soup du jour. They just put in a constant run exhaust fan. And the builders that actually build tight houses are sucking out, 80 to 100 CFM constantly. It's depressurizing the houses. It's pulling in humidity from outside, from wherever it can, and it's condensing on ductwork.
All the time. I mean, it happens over and over and over. I literally get 8 or 9 calls of that shit every single summer, dude. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I got 8 or 9 calls every week this whole summer. This has been the worst summer in a long time, I feel like,
That's
because
what a
it's been
lot of
so
people.
wet, so
Yep.
hot in the Midwest. It's been way more rain up until the last few weeks than I can remember. So it's just exacerbated problems that were probably there before, and now they're just becoming more prevalent. So,
Yeah, and I mean, and then the fact that everything's oversized, no matter where you go, and like we just talked to Energy Star or not, like people are putting in way still to this day oversized equipment because they're scared, and then with the amount of humidity, they get in a negative feedback loop where the customers or homeowners are trying to turn down the thermostat to get comfortable, thinking that it's temperature and it's really humidity, and the next thing you know, it's raining in their house. Like
yep,
it's just nuts, dude.
yep. Putting ductwork in attics that shouldn't be in attics, and you're depressurizing houses. So when the system doesn't run, the humidity gets up into the ductwork and then kicks back on, and you get water inside the ductwork. There's a lot of things that I don't understand about production builders, and maybe you can shed some light onto it. But these national large production builders, they just have this mindset of like, here's how we're going to build it, and I don't care what climate zone it's in or what part of the country. This is the standard that we do. It seems like, and it just
Dude, there's some national chains that have got their ass sued off for that stuff, though. Like D.R. Horton was involved in a big, huge lawsuit down in New Orleans
yeah,
where
Louisiana.
neighborhoods full of people were suing them, and they had to go back and remediate all that stuff and put dehumidifiers. And I don't know if they're doing it in every market because they're in a bunch of different markets, but I read in that about that, like, as a practice now, D.R. Horton will put a whole home dehumidifier in every one of their buildings. Like, and I mean, like, dude, I think that, like that's great for them to do it, but like all these builders need to be thinking that way. Like we live in a world where air conditioning don't run enough with these homes built to the standards that they are to take care of the humidity all the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, I know, we have a pretty good relationship with that company here locally, and I would say that the leadership of that company, at least locally, wants to do the right thing, but
Yeah.
they don't understand like the building science aspect of it. So
That's most of what it is. I mean, education, education, education. That's why we exist,
yeah,
today.
yeah. So hopefully they'll change course and modify a few things. I mean, keeping ductwork inside conditioned space would help a lot. Right sizing equipment would help a
Yeah.
lot. Getting rid of exhaust fans running constantly would help a lot in our climate zone. So
Yeah,
things that
that's one thing ASHRAE they want to allow it. They ACA, in their manual J training, they don't consider that ventilation. They call it added infiltration is
it
what it's
is.
referred to, because that's all it is. Like, and the load calculation reflects that. Like, your ventilation load does not increase. Your infiltration load increases when you put exhaust ventilation on a constant, fan on a load calculation. So
Yep.
ASHRAE needs, I don't know where I guess, air coming in, or I don't know what the qualification is for ventilation, but that has to be taken out of the consideration. I think it should not
Yeah.
be allowed.
Well, then you also have some builders who will put either just an air cycler or even an ERV on a house as a form of trying to solve the humidity problem,
Oh
and
yeah,
and that could just make it even worse, right? I mean, especially
especially
an
the
air
air
cycle.
cycler.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're just dumping hot, humid air from outside directly into the system and trying to
yeah,
pull that moisture out and drop the temperature. It's just I don't
yeah.
get it, man. I really don't.
ERVs are not dehumidifiers. We say this all the time.
No.
People, it doesn't have a condenser. It doesn't have a drain line. It doesn't have anything. All it does is recover a little bit of the humidity from the incoming air and put it in the outgoing air. That is it.
Yep.
Like, yeah. And like
It's
some
never
of
going
them
to
do a better
offset the
job
amount
than
of moisture
others.
coming in.
Yeah, exactly. It's a crazy misconception that's happened over the years. Like I for a long time when I first got in this business, I did think they dehumidified. That's how people would present them to you. But and then I learned how they really operate, and come to
Well,
find out, they're not really doing that great of a job.
and to be honest, I mean, like probably 10, 15 years ago when we met, I think the general consensus was if you have humidity issues, it's because you don't have enough fresh air in the house.
True.
And so then they were like, well, we got these fancy ERVs and HRVs, so let's put that on the house. And then the problem gets worse. And they're like, well, but that's what was supposed to solve the problem. And like, huh. And then we start looking into it, and it's like, well, that's just like you said, not a freaking dehumidifier. It's an expensive air exchange box that doesn't need to be used for this purpose.
Dude, one of my biggest aha moments was we were having so much trouble with the moisture in these LEED houses, and like every year, every summer, and we were trying to find the right way to ventilate them. And I was at a ResNet conference, and I sat in on Nikki Kruger's dehumidifier session, and she's like, "Yeah, our boxes, our dehumidifiers, they ventilate." But like a lot of these ventilating dehumidifiers, all of them except for the Santa Fe used to. Now April Air's copied what Santa Fe is doing, but all of them, if they called it a ventilating, Honeywell had one, April Air, a couple people had one. They called it a ventilating dehumidifier. All it did was did some benefit, but it didn't dehumidified the incoming airstream and did nothing for the relative humidity in the house. So like it would still be whatever it was in the house. So Santa Fe thought about the problem different. They said, we don't care about the incoming airstream. We want to maintain RH in the house. And so like the way that works is if the air comes in and it has humidity in it and it raises the relative humidity in the house beyond the set point, which it should be 50% if you're, designing ACA standards and all that, then the dehumidifier will come on as needed. But if it doesn't raise the humidity in the house, then it's not that much of a problem. And to me, that was like, man, that makes a ton of sense, way more sense than any of this other stuff. And so I got a hold of Nikki. I had her come do a webinar at our for the local Raiders there in Cincinnati, and we just started saying, get this point, because it was a point in LEED for whole home dehumidification. Like, you guys need, as part of your pathway, you need to get this point, because if not, your house is going to affect degradation. And it got to the point where now, even in my design, we started with GBC when we were doing ratings, but rating suggestions, but even in design, I keep it. We have a sign-off sheet. Like, if you're not going to use dehumidification in your design, then you're going to sign and say that you understand all the problems that it could potentially cause. Because to me, it's that big of a deal. Like, you got to have it with these houses.
Yeah. So what are you spending most of your time doing now? I mean, as far as the building science stuff.
All right. So we have three main revenue silos, which are design and commissioning. That's the main bread and butter right now. Like, that's running the business. The second, and pretty close with design and commissioning, is I'm subbing out a bunch of Energy Star projects and NGBS and stuff like that from SK. They have the Knoxville market pretty much locked down with that stuff. So I've been subbing out a bunch of that stuff from them. And then, but I'm trying to go, that is the stuff that I want to go away from as the third branch, which is the education, training, content creation, all that stuff starts taking off, which it really has in the past probably 6 months, leaps and bounds. Like, I've got, sponsors for the Vodcast, and we're doing trainings and all kinds of really cool stuff. And I got the website. Actually, you're the first person even to hear this out loud, but I've got the website getting completely redone in December. We're getting ready to launch a brand new website that's going to have a learning management system built into it. So we're going to start doing online trainings that are just, call them evergreen, where you don't really got to mess with them after. If people want to buy them, they can. If they don't, then that's fine too. So that's where I'm at right now with everything. So it's all building science. It's all HVAC, home performance, related. It's just different little silos of that neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why I started creating the course last year. Is like, I just saw a gap between certainly homeowners and building science people, but also just general tradesmen, HVAC contractors.
100%, dude, 100%.
And it's like, if I can find a way to reach these people, make it fun to learn, and make it interesting, and apply it to the symptoms that they're having, then, hopefully I can help a bunch of people, and, maybe I make some money, maybe I don't. It really wasn't... I didn't start it with the intention of making a bunch of money on it. It was really more of like, I think this is a cool idea. I'm going to see how far I can run with it. And, I'm going to continue to work on it. So I like what you're doing too. It sounds like similar
yeah,
stuff.
It's real close. That's why I wanted to have you on. I thought it was so cool that you're jumping back in. And I think at our age, though, like, that is the thing. Like, we got a lot to offer now that we've learned trial by fire. We've done it all. I won't say we've done it all, because nobody's done it all, but we've done a lot of home performance, and we've both taken the NCI trainings and retrainings and all that stuff. So there's a lot of knowledge in our brains to get out to people. Especially, like, I think that the HVAC crowd is starting to lean into home performance a little more than they used to. And I want to be able to bridge that gap for them as much as possible. Like, I think that is great that they are starting to think that way. And I think technology really lends itself to pushing them that way, because now that the technology is out, it all centers around best practices, and the kids are like, hey, where's the technology at? So it just like plays into each other very well. So I want to be a part of that,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing it.
Well, and to the technology piece, I think you've got a lot of young people in the trades now who are used to using apps and software and different
Exactly.
tools and stuff like that, and they want to know, right? So if you can teach them from a historical standpoint where we've been, where we got to, and like make them appreciate these tools that they got and actually use them, you're going to make some headways, and hopefully they can I think the industry is still dominated by a lot of people between our age and retirement age, right? And a lot of those people don't necessarily want to change what they're doing, but maybe if they get some techs that are really savvy at this stuff, they can start implementing these things into their companies and start changing the way that they do things and helping their customers more. Because I imagined when I first learned about the whole Matterport 3D scanning at things, I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if they had an infrared version of this? And wouldn't it be cool if they had a way to just convert that into a blueprint and then convert that into a heating cooling load calculation? And we're here. I mean, with some of
We
that
have
stuff.
it. There's all that exists, and that's that's coming.
Does the infrared 3D thing exist now?
To what? Scan a house?
Scan a house in 3D like Matterport with infrared.
Yeah, it's called Conduit Tech.
With infrared.
Yeah. Oh, not infrared. It's LiDAR.
Yeah. Okay.
Infrared. Yeah. If you're saying specifically infrared, no. But like LiDAR, though, have you seen Conduit Tech?
Yeah, I've seen the software. I haven't actually played with it yet.
Okay, so you need to get a demo of that and do it. You're gonna love it, dude. So like, it literally will scan you. It take this, and this is like, I have a webinar coming out. It'll air by the time it'll be over with by the time this airs. But I have a webinar coming out called your HVAC superpower and why you may not have it yet. And so it features Conduit Tech, another software called NoSo Labs, which is HVAC AI assistant, and then MeasureQuick. So basically, the concept is like, if you use these three things, you have X-ray vision of what's going on in the house at all times, But Conduit Tech will allow you literally 15 minutes, bro. I'm not even joking. Like, if you do the back, there's a little on the back. So there's two ways you can do it. One, it has all the most common for every area of construction. It has all the most common thermal profiles for every area of construction programmed in it. So if you don't know, or you're not going to take the time to really find out, it makes some pretty good assumptions for you, as long as nothing's been changed in the house, which is pretty much all the time. So I'm not a big fan of the assumptions, but if you got to use it, it's there. The other way is like, the training that we're teaching is called permanent load reduction through the eyes of Conduit Tech. So it's basically teaching the steps of doing a manual J load calculation, but also being able to look at each one of the elements of the home and expose home performance opportunities, or AKA load reduction opportunities, while you're doing the scan. But if you had all that information already and you put it in before you went out there, or you put it in right where you're sitting at the table, if you have it, once you collected it, however long that takes, that's a different process. I'm not talking about that. But however long it takes you to get the correct information, once you put that into the software, it takes about 5 minutes to put it in, all the little fields. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, 15 minutes, you can walk through a 3,000 square foot house and have a full 3D scan, a full load calculation, and a full 2D scan that's exportable out of it, with it scaled and dimensioned and everything for you. 15 minutes, and you have it all. Yeah. It will blow your mind.
I want to get on that, and I don't know what I need to do to sign up or whatever, but I know that my clients would pay for that kind of thing, because nobody else is doing it around here that I'm aware of yet. So
people are blown away by it, dude. They see you doing it. I'm like, hey, come here and look at it. You could see the thing scanning, dude. It's just like, remember back in the day, Comfort Institute always said, the big show, teach the big show, get the instruments in their hand. It's the same way with this stuff, dude. People are like, wow, that's crazy. Once they see it, they're like, you really did something there.
And that's another thing that I've really tried to emphasize, like in my videos that I put out. It's like, you can know all this stuff, you can know as much building science as anybody else, but if you can't explain it to the customer, if they don't understand what you're saying, then you're not going anywhere. You're not going to sell the job. You're not going to be able to convince them to do some big renovation, because you're just not translating.
Right. You're not
So,
creating an emotional connection. I mean, that's what I did at one of those Midwest energy conferences. I did a session one time about emotional connection in sales, and I did a bunch of research on it. And literally, neuroscience says people make their decisions with emotions, and then they justify it with logic, not the other way around. So if you don't find some way to connect what you're doing to their house to their emotional well-being, then you're probably not going to get the sell.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, are you going to NCI next week?
Yeah, I'll be there. I got one of the NCI scholarships. Actually, I applied for it and they gave me one. So it wasn't on my radar, but Nick had sort of reached out to me and was asking about some sessions. And then he's like, we got these scholarships if wasn't in the budget. And I applied and they gave me one. So I'll be
Nice.
there.
I'll see you
Yeah.
there. I'll be there all week.
Yeah, I'll introduce. There's this guy, Winston. Winston Cheese. He's one of the sponsors of the podcast, and he has this software called NoSo. It's an HVAC AI assistant, dude. This shit is crazy. Like it plugs into your ERP, so Service Titan or one of the bigger ERPs. It learns all your clients and what their appointments are and stuff like that. It will give your tech on the way to the appointment a AI voice summary of the appointment, telling him who he needs to talk to, what he's there for, what he needs to do, all that stuff. Once he gets there, it has an always-on feature. It records the entire sales call or the entire service call. By the time you sit down at the table, it has either a sales proposal or a summary of service to present to the client. And then as an assistant, it has over 15 million pieces of HVAC documentation programmed into it. So you can take a picture or create a text with model number of what you're working on, and it finds the exact model owner's manual for the exact thing that you're doing. If you're trying to wire it, if you need a wiring diagram, if you need combustion information, whatever's available, it'll grab it for that piece of equipment and give it to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. So the point of saying all that is he's coming to the conference. I'll introduce you to him. He's a really cool, dude is from the tech space, but he just leaned in the HVAC and they're killing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think all this kind of stuff is really exciting for this industry. Just the last couple of years, and I think the next 5 years are going to be huge with the implementation of this type of tech and the ability for people to get to real solutions a lot faster and be able to train people a lot faster, I think, and just give them these tools that they can utilize, that they can run with and actually grow with.
The training piece of it's huge. I was just talking to a guy, I did another guest that I had on right before you, a guy, Rob Larson, that I met at the Measure Quick training. He is a general manager of a distributorship. That's what I'm trying to say. He was talking about the training aspect and just like Measure Quick. He's like, dude, we have such a labor shortage right now that we need to be able to take an 18-year-old out of high school and once he gets his universal, have him functional in a couple weeks. Like that's what we need for this industry to keep, working right. He's like, if not, the shit's going to fall apart if we don't get the labor thing solved. He's like, so Measure Quick, he's like, that actually makes that possible. Like you don't have to get them all the way through HVAC school and have them understand every single concept. Like you get them their universal, that teaches them enough about pressures and temperatures to make them dangerous. And then you put Measure Quick in their hand and you get them out in the field. He's like, Measure Quick will do the rest. He's like, they don't need to know the how right now. Or the why right now. They just need to know the how. He's like, they can learn the how anytime. That was like light bulb moment for me. I'm like, dude, You're right. That is what we need to be using the technology for sure.
Exactly. That's awesome. I mean, that gives me a lot of hope that this industry can actually pivot and move in the right direction, because I feel like it's just been people like us trying to pull it along for the longest time and just banging your head against a wall and seeing the same results constantly over and over. So hopefully this will start to change.
That's why I'm in a little bit of a I won't say argument, but discussion on LinkedIn about that somebody posted some other study about the HVAC, these systems go in, duct leakage affects it. I'm like, dude, well, we don't need another study. I'm sick of all these studies that they're doing. We need action. We've had study after study. Everybody in the industry knows what the problems are. We don't need no more damn studies. DOE wants to do something, put some money into getting these guys trained up, dude,
Yeah. So what do you think, I'm curious, what do you think is the solution to get more people trained in this industry? Because,
we got to go in the high. We just got, like, I don't want to get political or anything like that, but like Trump leaned into the trades and he's like making it a big deal, and that's the right thing to do. Like, we need to get back into the high schools, make people feel good about working in the trades, and start training them up in the high schools again. Like, I mean, that is the only way to fix the problem, man, because it's been demonized for so long as like a less than way to make money just for the promotion of higher education and the colleges and stuff, that now, it had a bad connotation to it. Like, we got to get it back on the good side of things with people so that they start, seeing it as a true pathway for their kids. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Well, that, and frankly, a lot of people can't afford college.
That too.
Even
That's
more
another
so
whole
now.
big dumbass thing.
You
Yeah.
spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on degrees, and you can't get a job, and the job that you do get doesn't pay back the student loans that you took out,
Yeah.
and
All that.
you're just perpetually in debt. So it's a real opportunity, I think, to be in the trades and hopefully get out in front of these guys. But yeah, I mean, like Kentucky only has, I don't know, one place that teaches building science that I'm aware of, and it's not really very comprehensive. And so, like, there's state by
So
state.
you're
It's gonna
saying
be
you're about to
different.
build a training center?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm gonna sit right here and do this thing from my office, and work with people like you to train online. I have no desire to build a training facility. I would love to help teach there, though.
Yeah, me too. I'm thinking that I've talked to the community college, and that's just, I've asked them about, like, hey, why don't you add this little course on? I don't want to teach your whole HVAC school, like the basics, but I do have some stuff I think they need to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like even engineering schools, or architecture schools. I'd love to, be a guest speaker or whatever, and just talk about the experience that I have and what people miss when they get into the trades. Or architects, they just design things to look pretty, but they forget about the framing aspect of it, or where the ductwork's supposed to go, and all that kind of stuff. There's just,
For the architects, I'll tell you, look, so I just reached out to the local AIA rep, American Institute of Architecture, and asked him, like, hey, can I put on a webinar for your group, and, talk, not a webinar, but a in-person training
Right.
about high performance HVAC and, how it should be looked at in design and all that stuff. And so if I was you, I'd talk to them. Like, he goes, yeah, man, this is great. We have people that'll sponsor this. We have a place to put it on, everything. So he's getting me in front of like a whole group of AIA architects from Knoxville, dude. So that's something they're always looking for CEUs. If you go online or ChatGPT and you say, help me write a AIA CEU proposal, it'll show you how it has to be set up. It's not hard. It's just like learning points that have to be in there and a few other things, and then put it in front of those guys. They'll submit it and get you a session, dude.
Yeah, that was actually one of the points of the course. Was actually going to create I was going to create, planning to still create a secondary version of the course that's more targeted towards tradespeople and get CEU approved for it.
It's important.
I could probably get the current course approved for CEUs and just go down that path. But frankly, I've just been too busy and I need more help. So
Hey, dude, I know exactly what you mean. I was solo, and I'm sure you got other help, but didn't even have an assistant. Once I got one person helping me, it meant so much. So it was helping to push me this little stuff that I'm trying to do that I always get to forward a bunch,
Yeah, it's just a matter of prioritization and putting it in place and making it happen, right?
It's true. Wake up and do it. I mean, it's showing up. That's what matters, I think.
Yeah.
Cool,
so,
man. Go ahead. But I just wanted to say we're running up on the time here in just a few minutes. So tell me what you got to say.
I can talk about whatever, man. It's been a good.
Let's
good
do this. This is
conversation.
what I usually do at the end of all my sessions here. So this is a really cool little exercise. The world's getting ready to end. You know it's going to end, but at some point civilization is going to restart. The last person on Earth asked you to leave a message for the next civilization. What do you write on the wall?
What the hell kind of a question is that?
That's the one I love.
What do I write on the wall for the next civilization? Oh my gosh. Man, everything doesn't have to be political. Everything doesn't have to be an argument. Everything, doesn't have to be, one side versus the other. There's so much commonality amongst people, and there's, I think, common ground that if you just get back to basics and, like, I don't know how you feel about your faith or, whatever, but, God created this planet. He created us all for a bigger purpose, frankly. And if you're if your entire life is focused on just making money or achieving things or status or whatever, and you're not growing, you're not helping other people, you're not, loving your neighbor, or at least trying to get better as a person. And it's just always about attack the other side and this person's trash or whatever, like society just will fall apart again. Like you have to take a different approach. And I really feel like our country's founders had this intention when they started the United States. And I think that they would be appalled at the situation that we're in today.
They definitely would.
But my gosh, man, we have so much potential with the people that are here and the people that want to come here, and the things that they could achieve together if we could stop allowing ourselves to be manipulated and divided by apps and politicians and whatever. It's so draining. And I've just had to, turn off the news, frankly. I don't watch the news that much
I don't
anymore.
either.
I don't watch any mainstream stuff.
I got off Facebook, except I'm on there, occasionally for business stuff, but I do not comment on anything on Facebook ever in my life again.
It's toxic. And so, if you could just get back to basics, take care of your body, take care of your mind, take care of your soul, help each other grow together and stop trying to just constantly fight against each other, man. You're going to get so much better, so much farther as a society, as a neighborhood. I mean, just the people around you. You're going to help more people live better lives at the end of the day.
That was awesome, dude. So before we go, tell everybody where they can find you at, anything you want to plug, any kind of promo you want to do. Go ahead and tell the world.
Yeah, man. So the main site is learnhomecomfort.com. And that's kind of like my blog site. You can also get to all my socials. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Haven't got on TikTok yet. People keep telling me to do it.
I'm not on there. But you're trying to reach homeowners, so that might be a good place to get.
I'm trying to reach homeowners, so I think eventually I will probably repurpose my content. But you can get on my socials there. It's Eric at myhomecomfortadvisor.com. And YouTube channels also. Pretty much all the socials are at Home Comfort Advisors. So if you're interested in joining me on this journey, if you want to be a guest on one of my shows, if you have some content or you have some topics that you'd like for me to talk about or dive into, just reach out. I'd be happy to help you.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Eric, for joining us, and it was awesome catching up with you. I am anxious to see the rest of your journey as you continue it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hang out next week.
Absolutely. Looking forward. Tell you, I'm on your show next week. Is that next week?
That's next week.
Oh, and that NCI. That's right. NCI. I still need to get your show scheduled, I think.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever
okay.
It'll be September, October at this point, whatever.
Okay, cool. We'll catch up next week then. And hang out. I'm looking forward to that. It's awesome. The only reason it's not, I didn't even, realize what you're saying. I've literally only been committed to it for 2 weeks now, so it's not even permanently in my mind that I'm going. So,
yeah.
Cool. I'll see you, man. Thank you.